You just did it again. A moment ago you reached for something. A cup, a phone, a door handle, the thing sitting next to you right now. And you reached for it with one hand, the same hand you always use. You did not choose it. You did not stop and weigh which arm to send. One hand simply went, quick and sure, while the other stayed where it was, resting, waiting, along for the ride. Do it now if you like. Look at your two hands lying there in front of you. They are near enough a matched pair. Same bones, same muscles, same long clever fingers, one a mirror of the other. And yet they are not equal, not to you. One of them is yours in a way the other one is not. One of them writes your name, threads the needle, throws the ball, brings the spoon to your mouth without spilling. And the other one holds the paper still, holds the jar, holds the bowl, and does the quiet, steadying work while its partner takes all the glory. You have a favorite hand. You have had it your whole life. And here is the strange part. You cannot tell me why. Nobody sat you down and taught you which hand to trust. It was simply there, from the time you were small, one hand already reaching first, already surer than the other, long before you could have picked on purpose. So where did it come from? Why does one side of you get to be the clever one? And before I tell you, let me show you how deep this leaning goes, with a small thing you can do right where you sit. Clasp your hands together, lace your fingers, the way you would if you were waiting for someone. Do it fast without thinking. Now look down. One thumb is on top. And I will tell you without seeing you that if you unlace them and clasp them the other way, with the other thumb on top, it will feel wrong. It will feel like putting on someone else's coat. That little wrongness is the leaning, showing itself in a place you never even knew it lived. It is not just in the hand you write with. It runs all the way down into how you fold your own fingers together without a single thought. I'm Og, your ancestor, give or take a few thousand generations. And I am sitting here by the fire tonight turning a stone blade over in my hands, the way I do most nights, working an edge onto it. And I want to talk to you about the hand that is holding your version of this stone, right now, whatever it is. Because that favorite hand of yours is not a small thing. It is not a habit, and it is not something your parents gave you, and it is older than you could ever guess. It is one of the oldest marks of what it means to be us, older than your people, older than my people, 500,000 years old and more. And tonight I can show you the proof, scratched into the teeth of a man who died before your kind was even born. So let me start with what you feel and work backward from there to where it comes from. Right now you feel like you have two hands and you happen to use one more. That is not really what is going on. What is really going on is that you have two hands, and somewhere behind your eyes, a decision was made a long time ago about which one would be the master and which one would be the helper. And that decision was not made by you. It was made by your brain, in the way it was built, before you ever drew a breath. Here is the thing about that lump of you that sits behind your face and does your thinking. It comes in two halves. A left side and a right side, joined in the middle, and for the most part they look like a matched pair too, just like your hands. But they are not doing the same jobs. And here is a fact that catches everyone the first time they hear it. Your body is wired across. The left half of that thinking lump runs the right half of your body, and the right half of it runs the left half of your body, crossed over, like two people shaking hands. So the hand you trust and the side of your brain that got the gift of controlling it are on opposite sides of you. For most of you listening, the favorite hand is the right one, which means the boss of it is sitting over on the left side of your head. You can catch that crossed wiring in yourself too, if you know where to look. Watch a small child just learning to reach, and you will see one little arm keep winning the race to the toy, over and over, before that child has any words at all, before anyone could have taught it a thing. The leaning is running the show long before the choosing ever could. It is not a decision the child is making. It is a decision that was already made deep in the build. Now, why would a brain do that? Why not just make both hands equally good, both sides equally clever, and be done with it? Two good hands sounds better than one good hand and one helper. It sounds like a better deal. You, of all people, might think so. You who press a button and a voice on the far side of the world answers. You who have machines to do the delicate work my hands bled to learn. Surely two master hands would serve you better. It is not. And this is the first thing I want you to really sit with, because it is the heart of the whole matter. Think about what it costs to be truly good at something delicate. To nap a blade the way I am doing now, to strike a flake off just so, at just the right angle with just the right force, takes years of the same hand doing the same fine work over and over until the knowing lives in the arm itself. To do that with both hands, to keep two hands equally skilled at the very hardest, most delicate work, would cost twice the practice, twice the wiring, twice the room inside your head given over to it. And your head only has so much room. So somewhere back along the line, the living thing you come from made a gamble without ever deciding to. It stopped trying to be evenly good on both sides. Instead, it picked a side. It poured the fine control, the delicate, practiced masterwork into one hand and one hand only, and let the other hand become the steady helper. One specialist and one assistant instead of two half-trained amateurs. And on the same side of the brain that took charge of that master hand, something else moved in and set up house next door. Speech, the words, the naming of things, the stringing of them together, the whole machinery of talk. In most of us, it lives on the left side of the brain, cheek by jowl with the part that runs the right hand. The two great human tricks, the talking and the tool-making, the fine skill of the tongue and the fine skill of the hand, ended up crowded together on the same side of the head, like two craftsmen sharing one workshop. And methink that is no accident, that the hand that shapes the blade and the mouth that shapes the word should have grown up in the same room. Now, whether the hand pulled the speech to its side, or the speech pulled the hand, or they grew up together holding on to each other, that part the scientists are still arguing about, and I will not lie to you and pretend it is settled. It is not. That is their honest best guess, that specializing one side was the better bargain, and I am giving it to you as a guess and not as a carved stone. But the leaning itself, the favorite hand, that is no guess, that we can hold in our hands and count, and here is how we know. This is the thing I most want you to carry away from tonight, so hold still for it. Long before there were pens, long before there was writing, long before there was anyone to watch and take notes, people were already leaning one way. And they left us a record of it without ever meaning to. They left it in their teeth. Picture one of the old ones. Not me, older than me, a person from a kind of human that came before your kind, hundreds of thousands of years ago. They have a strip of tough hide or a length of sinew or a piece of meat, and they need both hands and their mouth to work it. So they do what you would do. They clamp one end between their front teeth, and they pull the other end tight with one hand, and with the other hand they bring in a sharp stone blade to cut it right there close to the mouth, sawing at it. And every so often that blade slips past the hide and scrapes across the front teeth. Just a touch, just a little scratch in the hard shine of the tooth. You would never feel it. You would never know it happened, but the scratch stays. It stays in the tooth for hundreds of thousands of years, long after the person is dust. And here is the beautiful part. The direction of that scratch, whether it slants this way or that way across the tooth, tells you which hand was holding the blade. A right hand cutting past the mouth leaves its scratches leaning one way. A left hand leaves them leaning the other. The hand signs its work. Think about how quiet that is. The person had no idea they were writing anything down. They were just eating, just working, just getting through a day the way you get through yours. and in the doing of it, without one thought spared for us, they left behind a true and honest record of which hand they trusted. No boast, no drawing, no words, just the small accidental scratches of a life lived, held safe in stone for us to read 500,000 years later. There is something in that I never get tired of. The dead telling us the truth about themselves, precisely because they were not trying to. In 2012, a group of scientists, led by a man named David Frayer, did exactly this. They took the fossil teeth of these ancient people, the ones who lived in Europe long before your kind arrived, and they looked under strong lenses at the little scratches on the front teeth, and they counted which way the scratches leaned. Their study even carries the answer in its title. More than 500,000 years of right-handedness in Europe. 500,000 years. Sit with that number, and what did the scratches say? They said that the great run of those ancient people, going back more than 500,000 years, were right-handed. Not some of them, the great majority of them, around 9 in 10. Which, if that number rings a bell, is because it is very nearly the exact same split you would find if you stopped 10 people on any street in the world today and asked them to sign their name. 9 reach for the pen with the right hand, 1 with the left. The very same lopsided share, the very same 9-to-1 line, running unbroken from the people cutting hide with stone blades 500,000 years ago, all the way down the long line, to you, holding your phone right now, almost certainly in the hand you always favor. Do you understand what that means? Your favorite hand is not a habit you fell into. It is not something the modern world did to you, not the schools, not the pens, not your mother guiding your small fist. It is one of the oldest and steadiest things about us. It was already there, already leaning the same way, in a kind of human that was not even your kind, that lived and died and turned to stone before the first of your true ancestors ever walked out under the stars. The hand you reach with is older than your species. That is not a small thing to be carrying around without noticing. Now you are a fair-minded soul, and I can hear the question forming. What about the 1 in 10? What about the left-handers? And this is where I want to be honest with you, the way I always try to be, because the truth here has more than one edge and I will not file them smooth just to make a tidy tale. The left-handers are not a mistake. Hear me on that. They are not the fear turned up wrong. They are not broken right-handers. They are not some flaw in the pattern. In fact, the real puzzle, the thing the scientists cannot fully answer, is not why there are left-handers at all. It is why the split sits where it does and stays there. Why 9 and 1, and not 5 and 5, and not 8 and 2? Why does the world lean so hard one way and yet always keep that steady sliver of people leaning the other? The honest answer is that we do not fully know, and anyone who tells you flat that they do is selling you something. The best guess, and I give it to you as a guess, is that there is some quiet advantage to the whole tribe in having most people the same, and some other quiet advantage in always keeping a few who are different. Think of a fight or a game. If nearly everyone you ever face is right-handed, then the rare left-hander comes at you from the wrong side, the side you never learned to guard, and that surprise is worth something. So the left stays rare, which is exactly what keeps it useful. But that, again, is the scientists reasoning it out, not a scratch on a tooth. Hold it loosely. And there is one more honest wrinkle, and it is a sad one. For a long stretch of the recent past, in a great many places, the left hand was treated as the bad hand, the wrong hand, the shameful one. Children who reached with the left were slapped and shamed and forced to switch, made to write with the hand that fought them. So some of what looks like right-handedness in the recent record is people who were bent that way against their nature, which makes those old teeth all the more precious. Nobody was shaming a man 500,000 years ago for the hand he cut his meat with. Those scratches are honest. They are the leaning as it truly falls, before anyone ever thought to meddle with it. So let me pull the two halves of this together, because I think it is finer than it first looks. You have a favorite hand because, a very long time ago, a brain made a bargain. It gave up the dream of being evenly good at everything, and instead it specialized, pouring its finest skill into one hand and on that same side into the tongue. It chose to be brilliant on one side rather than merely decent on both. And that bargain worked so well, made such good tools and such good talk, that it never went away. It came down the whole long line unbroken, through kinds of humans that rose and vanished, all the way to the hand you are holding this phone with. Now let me bring it home, because this is the part I really want you to keep. Look at your favorite hand one more time. That hand feels like the most ordinary thing in the world. It brushes your teeth, it holds your fork, it taps out messages you forget an hour later. But it is not ordinary. It is a signature 500,000 years in the writing. Every time it darts out ahead of the other one, quick and sure, to grab the cup you did not think about, it is doing the exact same thing that the hand of a stranger did, a stranger who is now a fossil, who clamped a strip of hide in his teeth and cut it close and left a scratch we can still read. His hand and your hand lean the same way. You never met. You are not even the same kind of human. And yet you both, without ever choosing, sent the same side forward to do the delicate work. You think of your handedness as yours, as small, as personal, as just a thing about you. Turn it over and look at it properly, and it is the opposite of small. It is one of the deepest threads running through all of us, one of the few things you can point to and say, this was already true of my kind before my kind existed. When you write your name, you are not just writing your name. You are casting a vote that has been cast the same way, by 9 people out of every 10, for longer than there have been people quite like you. My hunting partner Dax, sharpest thrower in our band, could put a spear through a hair at a distance the rest of us only dreamed of. And he did it every single time with the same arm, the right one, the one he trusted, while the left just steadied and pointed the way. I never once saw him switch. His good arm knew what it was, the way yours does, the way mine does, the way it has in nearly all of us, for longer than anyone can rightly hold in their head. So here is what I would truly love to know, and I mean it. Tell me down in the comments. First, the easy one. Which hand is your favorite? Are you one of the 9 or one of the rare and useful one? And then the better question, the one I am really curious about. Try right now to do one small ordinary thing with the wrong hand. Write a word, sign your name, bring a spoon to your mouth, and tell me how it felt. Because I will wager it felt like handing the reins to a stranger, clumsy and slow and somehow not you. Tell me how strange your own other hand feels when you finally ask it to lead. I want to hear it. I'm Og. This whole channel is about the body you are sitting in right now, and all the old machinery still humming away inside it, long after the world it was built for is gone. The favorite hand is one small piece of that machinery, and there are 100 more, hiding in plain sight, in things you do every single day and never think to question. So stay with me and come find the next one. Because no matter how new and clever and far from the fire you feel, the truth is the same as it ever was. You reached for that cup with the same hand your ancestors reached with 500,000 years before you were born. You did not choose it. They did not choose it either. And your body still remembers.